So Digby, I want to touch on this. I mean, I certainly I don't watch the Emmys. I don't take much pride in it. I just didn't realize they were even on until they were three-quarters of the way done. I think the last Sunday night. You did watch it. At one point, they mentioned Roger Ailes' name in the in memoriam segment, which is, I mean, people have to contemplate this. This is a guy who, even if you had no opinion, or even for some reason a positive opinion about what he did to the political discourse in this country, about the forces he unleashed, very consciously, both for profit and for political gain. Even if you were not aware of that, the man was fired from that job for being a serial assaulter and harasser, sexual harasser of women. And the idea that he would get an in memoriam during this Emmy was grotesque. And not only that, I would also say the fact that Sean Spicer popped up there, equally grotesque.
Well, I mean, don't you think that some of that, I mean, my feeling was that some of that was kind of almost designed to offset what was widely perceived to be a harsh anti-Trump, award show. I sort of felt like they were trying to stick those things in to prove, hey, we're not completely just catering to the liberals in this country. I don't think it worked, but whatever. I mean, Ailes, and I really think that, Ailes is one of the most complicated figures in American history. I think that the Emmy should have skipped it. I don't think anyone would have noticed, and I think it would have been the right thing to do. But he was a television pioneer, and not in a good way. I don't think this is one of those cases where
when
he's
does
like
Lenny
Mary Tyler Moore.
Riefenstahl get the Lifetime Award at the Academy Awards this year?
Yeah, I mean, this is a guy whose legacy, and just, I mean, even setting aside the horrific fact that it turns out that Fox News is basically a brothel, which, also doubles as a news organization or a propaganda organization.
Frankly, I think a brothel is even too kind. I mean, this is, I think it was, I can't remember, maybe Maxine Waters who said it's basically like a sexual harassment mill.
Well, it was. I mean, it was a sexual harassment mill. Look, half the leadership was fired for sexual harassment, and some incredibly grotesque. Ailes, in particular, who apparently kept some woman as basically a sex slave for decades. This one woman who was just, I mean, horrifically tortured, basically, by him. And then Bill O'Reilly, I mean, this new
Eric
guy,
Bolling.
Charles Payne, I mean, it just goes on and on. So, I mean, this is not, I've never seen, let's just put it this way. I worked in Hollywood for 20 years. I never saw anything quite this bad.
Yeah.
I never did. And I saw a lot of bad stuff. I mean, there's a casting couch, Hollywood's probably as low as it gets. But this was something uniquely disgusting. And I think that's one reason why I'm, and of course, let's just very quickly say that, they've done studies, and in fact there's a new one that just came out by that was published in the American Economic Review, that shows Fox News' influence on politics has been profound. It has changed minds. It may have tipped elections in 2000 and 2004.
Sure.
It is very, very powerful. Whatever Roger Ailes had, whatever mixture he kind of put together in his formula, it was very powerful. And that, this is borne out by actual, statistical analysis. This isn't just a feeling that we have. This is something that they've studied. Fox News is a very, very powerful organization. But it was also, a sexual harassment mill and a brothel, essentially. And this is why, I'm looking at this woman, Laura Ingraham, has just been hired. We all know her, right-wing radio host, maybe one of the most hard-right radio hosts in the country. She's now joined them, and she's going to take the 10 p.m. slot, and she's going to, put herself right in there. And I honestly, this is one of those things where I'm just going, you have absolutely any woman who takes that job has no pride whatsoever. I'm sorry. And I don't care, what your politics are. There really should be a line you're not willing to cross. But apparently Laura Ingraham doesn't have a line, and frankly, there's no evidence that she ever has had one. And she had been offered the press secretary job under Trump. She's a big Trump supporter, big Trump endorser. And, I suspect she's going to be a very, very influential person because Donald Trump will be watching her every night when he comes home and winds up his old DVR and takes a look at his friends over there on Fox. So maybe she, I wrote a piece in Salon about her and said she's going to be one of the most influential women in the world. So I guess she figures it's worth it.
Yes, indeed. And also, frankly, has had some pretty despicable things to say on the radio, as you mentioned. Look, we just have 30 seconds left, but let me just say this. Bringing Sean Spicer out there, I understand they did it for the laughs, but Stephen Colbert's ratings went up because Jimmy Fallon mussed Donald Trump's hair and basically sent a subtle message. Hey, he's just one of the guys. When Sean Spicer gets up there, even if it's mocking him, he becomes in on the joke, and there's no more satire. It is a part of a rehabilitation. If people allow celebrities, just by the virtue of celebrities, to get a pass on the way that they are complicit in harming this country. We talked about the torture that people who are waiting to hear about health care are going through, that dreamers are going through, that refugees are going through, that African Americans who are dealing with a DOJ that doesn't care about police brutality. You cannot give a pass to people like that by saying they're just one of the guys and then are on the joke.